A federal judge has blocked Texas Governor Greg Abbott's order that would allow for law enforcement to pull over drivers suspected of transporting undocumented immigrants. Now, Abbott stated that he was signing that order in order to prevent COVID carrying undocumented immigrants from entering the country, which is strange because he's really not known for taking COVID seriously. He notoriously shot down the idea of a mask mandate in his state. Now, US District Judge Kathleen Cardone granted a temporary restraining order against Abbott's move, meaning it will be blocked while the case continues to unfold. The US Justice Department sued Abbott and Texas on Friday of last week, a day after US Attorney General Merrick Garland threatened to take legal action if Abbott didn't rescind his order, calling it, quote, dangerous and unlawful. So a little more detail about the bill itself and what Abbott is citing for his reasoning for it. Now, Abbott's order issued Wednesday of this week allows Texas Department of Public Safety troopers to reroute civilian vehicles back to their origin point or a port of entry, or to seize the vehicles if police suspect the driver is transporting migrants who are infected with the virus. So exactly how would these troopers suspect that there are undocumented immigrants who have the virus in any given vehicle? How would a trooper be able to determine? I don't know, Cenk. I feel like this would require quite a bit of, racial profiling.
No, I bet troopers can just see into a car and know who's a migrant or not, having nothing to do with their race or their appearance. And on top of that, they have an amazing visual COVID detector. I believe that person has COVID. They might not even be sick yet, but I can tell because they're Latino. I mean, how the hell would you know? That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Like if you pulled over ambulances, maybe that's more logical. Like, oh, there's sick people inside ambulances, but random cars? Okay, you're telling me you know that they're migrants, plus you know that they're sick. I just literally have no idea how you'd know that. The sick part is the part that's made up, that's their excuse, right? The migrant part is, I just want to pull over Latinos.
Yeah,
keep it real. And look here, I'll give you one example. Let's say a cop in Texas sees me driving one car and sees Anna driving another car. Let's go to the wide shot. Okay, so who do you think he might pull over if he's looking for Latino migrants who might have COVID?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes people say I look like a Latina.
Okay.
Which I like.
Okay,
which I take as a giant compliment.
My guess is that more times they would think I look that way.
Yes, you are correct about that. Yeah, no, I mean, what it does is it green lights racial profiling by troopers in the state of Texas. And I'm gonna get to why Abbott signed that order in just a minute, because clearly he doesn't really care about COVID. He's been incredibly belligerent and irresponsible in regard to responding to the pandemic in the state of Texas. But a few more details about the judge's decision and the order itself. The judge, Cardone, still must decide whether Texas's move is constitutional, and her temporary restraining order is set to last until the court's next hearing on August 13th. Abbott has defended his order as necessary to help prevent the spread of COVID-19 in Texas. Hilarious. While advocates for migrants say it would disrupt federal immigration efforts and invite troopers to racially profile people. Okay, so let's pause for a second, because while his opponents in that, they say, look, it does greenlight racial profiling. That's not the argument that they're using in court to fight back against Abbott's order. What they are focusing on is how this could impact the federal government in transporting migrants. So that's their argument in court. US attorneys argue that Abbott's order would interfere with the federal government's ability to transport migrants between facilities. Federal officials spend over $200 million annually to employ contractors to transfer migrants and to avoid overcrowding facilities. And so the federal government is concerned that while a private contractor that they've hired is transporting migrants from one place to the next, they're work can be interrupted or interfered with by cops in the state of Texas. So that is the argument that they're using in order to essentially permanently block Abbott's order.
Yeah, guys, this actually is slightly more dangerous. So it's one thing when you racially profile people. It's terrible, unfortunately, with the Republicans. We've come to expect it a little bit. You should still fight back and do all the legal recourses that you can, and they have, and that's great. But there's another element to this, which is what Anna's explaining there. The way that they would know that they were migrants and why the Department of Justice is concerned at the federal level is if they took vans or cars that are transporting migrants belong to the federal government. So at some point they got to be transported from the border to a facility inside one of the states. So now the cops do know those cars, right? So you say, oh, well, you see, that doesn't have to be racial profiling. They could just be targeting the federal government. Are you guys, like, that's insane. So state troopers are gonna pull over federal officers, and what are they gonna do? Pull guns on each other? What kind of insanity is this? The federal officer has not only the right to, but the duty and the obligation to deliver those folks to the facility that he was delivering them to. He can't just say, oh, okay, I'll just hand it over to rando Texas trooper over here, right?
Yeah, right.
And the trooper says, now I got a law that says I got to take them from you. What, are we gonna pull guns on one another? This is insane. And that's what they're encouraging here.
Yeah, so I am not going to give Abbott any credit for thinking ahead and considering the potential downsides to this order. Because it's not even about, obviously we know he doesn't care about COVID. Obviously we know that he doesn't even care about the people of Texas. I mean, he received gigantic donations from Texas's privatized, deregulated energy grid, which is why the Texas legislature and Abbott himself signed into law the weakest regulations after Texans literally died during the power outages during a winter storm. So the only thing Abbott cares about is his own power and self-preservation. And he's concerned about Allen West, who's even more to the right of Abbott, if you could believe it, challenging him in the gubernatorial primaries. So what he's been doing lately is signing more and more of these orders to, essentially pander to the far right so he can make a case for himself as he's getting primaried by someone who's even more of a lunatic than he is.
Yeah, because, and we've shown you the many instances of this now. There's a competition within the Republican Party to be the craziest person, the dumbest person. Because if you are, you're more likely to attract voters, not less likely. So that's why, like right now, Josh Mandel and JD Vance in Ohio are in a race to out-dumb one another, right? And out-fascist one another. So, one will say, oh, let's ban this group. And the other one will say, oh yeah, let's make sure that people without kids can't vote. I mean, it's insanity on top of insanity. Because why? Because Republican voters reward insanity, and they don't want you to be intelligent. They don't want you to do things that make sense. If they hear like, oh, you're gonna pull over random Latinos? I'm here for it. Okay, oh, you're gonna pull over federal agents and point guns at them and they point guns at you and maybe you guys shoot each other? Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Yes, Greg Abbott. Never mind, Allen West was, yesterday Allen West was crazier than you, but now you've retaken the lead. Congratulations.
It's just, the Republican Party continues to devolve and the Democratic Party continues to be incredibly feckless. But as one of our members said, I mean, right at the bottom of the screen right now, the Democrats are ineffective by design. Look, I mean, when you look at what the role of government is in a neoliberal system, it isn't to protect the American people, it's to protect corporate interests, right? Which is why I give that comment all the credit that it deserves. Because yes, this is by design. That's why we're seeing politics devolve more and more on a daily basis. And we gotta challenge that system in order to change things.